I want to begin with a story. I used to have a childhood friend. We know each other from about 5 to 10 years old. We lived next to each other. We were very close. Until about I was 10 years old, he moved away and we never got to see each other again. Until about 5 years ago, we met again online through Facebook. This is during the red shirt protest in Bangkok at the time. We became very active politically. We share a lot of comments. We discuss a lot of political issues. And we didn't agree on everything, but it was on friendly terms. But one day, one thing happened that still caused the ripple that made me to talk about the thing I'm going to talk about today. I gave an interview to a news website in Thailand, which is quite a well-known news website. And then it was shared quite a lot in social network. My friend also shared my article. And on his status above my interview article, he called me a slim, which is, for the foreigner who doesn't know, it's quite a bad word for conservatives in Thailand. But anyway, then his liberal friends came to comment in the article, and they gave me names. They bring my father and mother into the discussions. They gave them names. They made me feel very stupid. They made me feel like I was absolutely nothing. Looking back, that is the first day I get to feel the feeling that I'm going to talk about today, hatred. Five years later, and many countries I have traveled to because I started being a world traveler 5 years ago. I think that I'm living a totally different life right now. At the time, 5 years ago, I paid him back in kind. I paid them back in kind. I hated them back passionately. But now, many countries later, many journeys later, I think I'm living a different life. I'm living a hate-free life. And I know you guys all feel it your own daily life. I know you all feel it at a certain point. That's why we're going to talk about today, talk about hatred. And hopefully, by the end of this journey around the world together, we can all understand two questions together. Why do we hate each other so much? And the more important question, how not to hate? But first, a little bit about myself. Okay, my name is Wannasingh Prasertkul. I am a documentary maker. I love my job passionately. I get to do a lot of cool stuff. I get to fish for piranhas in the Amazon River. I get to trek in the ruin of Chernobyl. Yeah. I get to practice Kung Fu in Wudang Mountain or Wutung in China. And recently, I just got back from a trip from Jordan that we went on a camel and ride across the desert after the trail of Lawrence of Arabia. And one time in my life, I even got a chance to interview His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. So yes, it's an awesome job. I love it very much. But no matter how fun it is, it's still a job. And my job is to go out there and understand one thing: human. I have to talk and interview so many people, talk with them. At least 1,000 or maybe 2,000 people from across different parts of the world. And one thing that I found going across the places is not only the people or the clothes or the food that changes with the scenery, but one thing that keeps changing with it is the answer to this question: what is a good man? There exist so many answers to this question across all over the world. In Kenya, I stayed with a Maasai tribe, a fierce warrior tribe, for a week. The Maasai has this tradition that they have to go out once each male reaches puberty. They have to go out into the savanna and hunt for lion in order to prove that they are a man, they are strong, they can protect their tribe because they are fierce warrior. And to protect their tribe, that is a good thing to do. That is the moral thing to do. I tried to put on the hat, but it doesn't fit me. Yeah, I tried to switch the hat, so yeah, we switch back. In Bhutan, a totally different idea exists. There are some communities in Bhutan that doesn't allow slaughterhouses to be built in the communities because it's against the Buddhist law of mercy and non-killing. But they eat meat. How do they eat meat? They imported it from India. Or maybe they wait for the yak or the cow to die from natural cause or accident, falling off from the cliff or something like that, so they can get the meat. This doesn't make any economic sense at all, doesn't make any rational sense, but it makes totally moral sense for them. So in one place, killing is a good thing. It's proof that you are a protector of the tribe. You can be a man, protect your father, your family, your mother when the time comes for war. On the other place, killing is not acceptable, no matter for what reason, even for eating. What is a good man? So many different answers. I also went to Rwanda, and many of you know that what happened in Rwanda. This is in the museum, all the dry corpses laying out, hundreds of them, men, women, and children, all laid down for me to see. I still can remember the smell in this room. It all started with name calling, like Hutus called it Tutsi, cockroaches, snake, weeds, something that needs to be plucked from the ground. Sound familiar? One of the most shocking things I learned about this trip to Rwanda is that after a day's killing, all the members of the Hutus, who were the perpetrators of the genocide toward the Tutsi, they have a town meeting and they congratulated each other on a good day's communal work. And those who does not participate are called freeloaders, those who does not share the responsibility of the society to kill. So no matter how twisted this is, there exists a point in time in this world that the idea of killing another human being becomes something morally good for a certain group of people. So the obvious question to ask is, why? Why does this happen? Everybody wants to be a good man. No matter who I talk to, no matter what culture, they want to be accepted, respected, and seen as a good man. And there exists an idea of goodness, a measurement, how to measure what is good and what is bad, which is totally different from each society to the next. And each form of goodness can be used to enhance our life or to abuse, to create horrendous things. The idea of freedom in the West can be used to create self-enhancement, self-development, tolerance, or love, or peace. At the same time, it can be used for legitimizing greed, selfishness, discrimination, or sometimes war. The same thing can be said about religion. It can be used for legitimizing violence, fanaticism, killing, war. At the same time, it can be used for creating love, mercy, harmony, kindness. The problem is that people with different moral values don't get to see each other. They have this war between them. And they have tendency to see the worst in each other. And when they see the worst, someone ought to hate first. And it becomes very normal to hate back. Just think about all the political conflicts we're having right now in Thailand. But no matter what the content of the moral code is, the same thing, it serves the same purpose, the same context, to answer the question, what is a good man? As a documentary maker, the best thing about my job is not that I get to travel across the world, it's not that I get to do a lot of cool stuff, but I get to see across this wall. I get to go to and ask and understand and really pay attention to what they have to say. I used to think that Muslim and Islam religion is very irrational and doesn't make any sense and sometimes scary. But until I get a chance to go to a lot of the Middle Eastern countries, this is in Iran, I get to see something different. It's not about their ideology or their religion at all. It's that they are the same as us. They're chilling in the park, they're chatting with their friends on the cell phone, and this is me and my mom. Hello, mom, sitting over there. Hello? They keep treating us like celebrity because not a lot of East Asia go to Iran, and they keep taking photos with us, and they give us food on the street all the time. They give us grapes, give us apple, and they are very good fruits, and we were feed all the time by the local population. They are very kind. Okay, and this is in Palestine. I joined a group of protesters, Palestinian protesters, against the Israeli police. I was there. They were shouting angry, and the cops were shooting tear gas and flashbang for us, which is kind of fun, yeah. But anyway, they were very angry, and I sit down with them and ask about their lives. What's happening, man? Why are you so angry? And they answer me, they don't get to see their families, they don't get to go out, they don't get to travel or go to the airport. Basically, it's not a religious problem. It's the same problem we are having. Family problem, human problems. I met this man under a staircase in Pakistan, which some newspaper call the most dangerous place in the world. This guy is a musician. He stayed in a very tiny room under the staircase. And then he invited us to his tiny room and performed for us, only 4 of us. And he sang very passionately. He sang with his heart. His name is Wannasingh, which is quite difficult to remember. But his song stays with me. And he said to me that if everybody sings like this, no problem in the world, man. Yeah, just like Jamaican or something like that. So, the message is this. If you know someone, you cannot never hate them. And when I don't hate them, I accept their humanity. I starting to want to learn about their religion. I start to read about Islamic culture, read about their religion. And I understand some of it, but the more important is that something that I don't understand, I accepted it as what it is. If you look into the eye of someone, you know that we are all human first and something else later. It's easy to say this, to say it about someone who lives far away and doesn't have any conflict directly with us. How about this? If you look at the news, this is after the protest of Red Shirt in Bangkok 5 years ago. Many of you may cheer for them, many of you might hate them. If you look into the news, you only see this. But as a documentary maker, I try to go to every protest happening in Bangkok or somewhere else in Thailand, not to agree or disagree or argue with them politically, but to know them, to understand them, to have a meal with them. I see a lot of stuff. I see that people getting tired, and they stay out there on the street all night and all day, and they say to me, they're fighting for what they believe in, no matter what you agree upon it or not. And I went there with fear and some hatred in my heart, because it's been going on for a while, and I wonder what it's all about. I have to go see there. And I was worrying somebody's going to hit me in the head or something. But what happened is that a lady invited me to share a meal with her, a red shirt lady. And we just sat there, a couple of red shirts, eating sticky rice, no politics. They get tired. You don't get to see this on the news. They have spar in front of the protest. They're out there all day, all night. And a few years later, I went to other protests, Kopapasor protest, which is supposed to be the polar opposite of the Red Shirt protest. And what did I see? Exactly the same thing on Ratchadamnern Road. You don't get to see this on the news. In the tear gas fight, I was there. You can only see the violence, but what I get to see is that a man very kindly came to me, gave me salt water, tried to wash away the tear gas in my eyes, and asked me if I'm okay or not. If you watch the news, you only see this. So, this reminds me of a quote I read a long time ago in Rwanda. In the museum, it says, "If you really know me and you really know yourself, you would not have killed me." And how much do you get to choose? I want you to think long and hard about it. How much do you get to choose who you are? How much you get to choose to decide what is right and wrong in your life by your own thought? And how much is decided by your culture, your nationality, the place you were born in, the generation you were born into, your parents, your wealth, your education, something you have totally no control whatsoever. If you don't have any control over those factors that contribute to the ideas of what being right and wrong in your life, how can you blame others for having the different ideas? So, coming back to the question I proposed since the beginning of this talk, how not to hate? Well, my simple advice to you is this: make your own journey. Go into the world. You don't like a place? Go there. You don't understand someone? Talk to them. You hate someone? Especially them, talk to them. Get to know them. Understand them. That's a journey. You don't have to go far. You can be your neighbor. It can be the gangster in your street. There's always something you don't know. There's something there's always something to understand, something to make all this hatred melted from your heart, make all of this illusion, all the misunderstanding blown away, just because you talk to them and get to know them. I want to leave you with not exactly a quote, I wrote this myself, but it's something I live according to. If you see something wrong with the world, if you can change it, then by all means, change it. If you cannot change it, then try to understand it. And if you cannot understand it, then try to accept it. And then, if you still cannot accept it, ask yourself, what else can you really do? Thank you.